Hi, and welcome back to Musicians Edition Practice with me for Flute. I'm your teacher, Reesa, and today we're working in the Rubank Intermediate Method for Flute. And today we're on page 34, looking at Then You'll Remember Me Part 2. Okay, so once again, the harder aspect of this duet is the key signature and the double sharp. I'm going to act like you haven't seen Part 1, so we'll talk about what the double sharp is in just a second. Before we begin, let's go ahead and warm up with the E major scale. That's going to help us process the key signature a little bit better. Okay, and you can pick, we're just going to do one octave. Pick whichever range you want to do. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. And just heads up, since we are in the intermediate series, it's definitely time to start memorizing your scales if you have not already done so. So make sure you start working on memorizing them. If you need help or want extra resources for that or whatever, we did release our flute scales course, which covers all major keys and all minor keys and the chromatic scale. We break things down into sections and we work on learning them and memorizing them and being confident with them. So if you're interested in that, it's in the description below. Okay, moving forward. Part 2. Okay, before we start and sight read this, we're going to talk about the double sharp. What is the double sharp? Take a look at line 2, last measure. There's that weird looking X near that F. That is a double sharp. So to apply the double sharp, okay, so the way I think of it, it's still a form of a sharp, right? So in this case, we already have F sharp because it's in the key signature, right? Sometimes they'll write the sharp next to it, even though it's in the key signature to remind us that it's a sharp. So if the composer wanted to still raise it a half step, they would put in this double sharp because the F is already sharp. So think of it, we're already at F sharp, a half step from that is G natural. So the double sharp in this case is going to be G natural. Now on our last video, we did have somebody ask, well, why wouldn't a composer just use G natural then? And that's an excellent question. That's, to be honest, kind of just up to, I guess, the composer, because they could have written it as G natural, but they chose to do F sharp. And this is not the only piece you're going to see in a double sharp. There's also double flats too. And so though they're not as common, they sometimes will still be used. So why a person would choose a double sharp over a natural? Composer's choice. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a try, being mindful of our key signature and our double sharp. Okay? All right, ready? And remember, there is a pickup, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, play. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, excellent job. So you can kind of see where the trickier areas may be or things that might throw you off. So now let's go ahead and break things down. We'll do it line by line. So the first line shouldn't have really been too confusing. Just watch your G sharps. That's always a difficult one, and your C sharps. So if you missed any of those sharps, just make sure you circle them or circle your key signature just to remind yourself, okay? Rhythms here are not overly complicated either. This is a nice slow piece. As you can see, it's andante. So let's go ahead and just play the first line. And we are mezzo piano, so let's go ahead and play it kind of soft. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. So not too complicated. Now, let's take a look at our articulation. Some areas we're tonguing, some we're slurring. Okay, so we're slurring for those eighth notes. Okay, and then in full measure 1, 2, 3 with those quarter notes on the top line, and then the eighth notes are back to slurred. So now let's play it again. Still doing it mezzo piano, and now adding in our slurs. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, excellent job. Let's go on to line 2 now, okay? So things to pay attention for now is those A sharps, okay? That's not in the key signature, so we do have that marked as an accidental, okay? Think of what your enharmonics are with that. What fingering is the same as A natural? B flat. Do not mark your music in for B flat. We need to know this as A sharp, okay? So we're just taking the quick moment to think of what the equivalent is. That's it. We're not marking that, okay? But then in the following measure, we see it's back to natural. It's got the natural sign. And then the last measure here, that's where we have a lot of action going on. We have B sharps. We don't see those as often, so think of the equivalent fingering. What is the equivalent fingering to B sharp? C natural. Once again, do not write that in. We want to see it and know it as B sharp. This is also where we have that double sharp that we had already stated before, that it is the equivalent to the fingering G. Since we are new to double sharps for right now, you can mark it in as G if you find that helpful, but I do not want us to get too used to it. So once you kind of start comprehending and automatically putting that as G, erase it, okay? So for right now, I will allow, okay? So let's go ahead and play line 2 now. Ready? We'll take it a little bit slower so we can comprehend all these things we're seeing. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. Not so bad when it's slowed down. And the hardest part really is those 2 eighth notes at the end there and then leading on to what's next, but we'll get that sorted out. Okay, now let's make sure we play it mezzo piano. It is mezzo piano throughout this whole piece, okay? So mezzo piano still, and now make sure you're paying attention to articulations. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. Let's speed it up a little bit. That one was a little bit under what we had been doing. One more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. Let's put line 1 and line 2 together. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. excellent job. Let's go ahead and take a look at this last line here. Once again, we have some sharps that might be throwing us off. We do have that B sharp again, okay? This D sharp, which is the next, it's D, but remember we have the sharp in the key signature. That one has a tendency to throw a lot of people off too, so just make sure that is marked with the sharp and that you know what the D sharp is. So let's stop and think. The equivalent to D sharp is same fingering as E flat, but do not mark your music on that one. D sharp, okay? We have that F double sharp towards the end there, so mark that if you need to. Remember, we're going to erase it later. All right, so let's go ahead and give this last line a try. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent job. So not too bad when it's just on your own. Also make sure on measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that last line, make sure you're holding that quarter note out for 1 and then going into the 8th note run, okay? People have a tendency to treat it as if it's part of the 8th notes. It's still a quarter note there, okay? All right, let's go ahead and do it again. This time, make sure we're going to play mezzo piano. This whole piece is mezzo piano, and add an articulation, so slur where it's marked slurred. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. Before we do this as a whole, we're gonna back it up to one measure before with those 8th notes, so the pickup, okay? That throws a lot of people off, and I wanna make sure we get that all together in the right kind of phrasing. Okay, so the 8th notes before line 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. If you need to take a time for any of these on your own, just slow it down, take it note by note, whatever you kind of need to do to work out those kinks, and then work your way. All right, let's play this all together now, beginning to end, part 2. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. Ready to do it as a duet? All right, so this time you stay on part 2, I'll play part 1. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, excellent job. All right. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, notify, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our practices. Thanks for joining, and until next time. For more questions, comments, concerns, or even if you want feedback or to play games, make sure you join the Musicians Edition Flute group. It's free to join and anyone can participate. We'll see you there. And while you're signing up for all sorts of goodies, don't forget to join our YouTube course. It's free, it has all these lessons, but a little bit more organized.